Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching the VSO Gun Channel. And today I wanted to do a video with you guys on an ongoing issue that I'm having with Walther. And today's video isn't really to like burn them down or anything like that. It's more like to put them on notice that it's like, hey guys, you're supposed to be one of the like premier manufacturers in the space and you should have your stuff a little bit better than this. Like, hey guys, wake up type video and pay a little bit better attention, have your stuff a little bit better together on this. So to set the stage, I'm out doing a video evaluating the S Pro from Recover Tactical, which is a chassis that you drop handguns into. Very Israeli. The Israelis don't do handguns very well, and they always want to put stuff on them to make them easier to shoot and stuff like that. It's a cool toy, right? I really like their 2020. This is like the new hotness, right? So anyway, stage set. I'm out there shooting it, and we're doing good, right? I'm getting what I need to get done, and all of a sudden, it's not good, and it's like couple rounds in each magazine malfunction, and I'm like, oh man, what's going on here, right? Well, I didn't have time to really screw with it that day because it was on a schedule, so I basically packed up my stuff and I went back to the shop, and then the next day I came back to it and was like assessing it, and that actually I just realized that I'm missing my extractor on this gun. Well, look at that. We broke a gun in less than 500 rounds. This gun has only been here for, 2 weeks at this point in time. I'm like, oh, the extractor's missing. That's cute. So I contacted Walther, and I'm like, hey, my new in-box gun lost its extractor. What the heck's going on with this thing, right? They're like, oh, take some pictures of the slide. Cool. So I send them pictures of the slide, and they're like, oh, it looks like you shot it without the cover or an optics plate on it. And I'm like, that's not what happened. Right? They're like, yeah, if you do that, then the extractor can fall out, and it says that on like page 30 something or other of the manual, that if you do that, then you're gonna be liable for it, right? I'm like, well, that's not what happened. And I literally sent them a video of when it happened because I just so happened to be recording at the time.
Just because you carry a gun or a knife or pepper spray or taser, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, does not mean that you are insured to come out of that situation 100% uninjured, or other people for that matter. So it is, I think, my duty to remind you that you should be carrying medical equipment in your vehicles, in your on your person, and you should have multiple kits in your house and all that sort of stuff. And my one-stop shop for all things medical is Medical Gear Outfitters. We have a discount code with those folks that you should use to great effect to get that stuff at a reasonable rate so you guys can get yourself squared away. Special thanks to Medical Gear Outfitters for making today's video possible.
And they're like, oh, okay, well, just send us some more pictures. While I've got the PDP Pro apart for maintenance, I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride, show you what it is I'm dealing with. This thing's in the same configuration it was in that previous video that you guys have already seen, except for I removed the optic because I wanted to confirm that it is indeed the plate that is alleged. So anyway, if I can draw your attention to right here, the extractor is indeed missing, as you saw it be thrown in that video. I was able to recover the little spring that is supposed to be in there because it's bright blue and there's not many bright blue things on the range top. The rest of the components are missing. I've been out there with a metal detector looking for them twice, and look, metal detector on a range top, what do you expect, right? So if I reflect it this way, the other pieces that are missing, in addition to the extractor bar, are the extractor plunger and the firing pin block. They all kind of go together. And the firing pin block being missing is problematic. This gun will absolutely still fire. And most of the time, it will eject, because and I'll have to give you guys a close-up on this one, but over here on the slide is a channel that's milled directly into the slide. They can still catch a casing. So there's a secondary extractor kind of milled into the slide itself. And the ejector of most striker-fired pistols is located right here on the frame. So it still will eject, but it's missing a critical safety mechanism in the form of that firing pin block. What is being alleged here is that I used an after-factory optics plate and that it's their fault, or that it's my fault for using an after-factory plate. And you're like, Kurt, why did you use an after-factory plate? Walther gives you a free one with a rebate when you say that you bought the gun, right? Yeah, except for it's like 4 to 6 weeks to get fulfillment on that if you look online. And I wasn't going to wait 4 to 6 weeks for somebody to fuck around.
Quick side note on those optics plates directly from Walther are frequently out of stock. You'll see a recurring theme here, I think.
Their claim is that because I used a calculated kinetics, I did not properly assemble the plate, and the mechanism was able to spontaneously disassemble itself. There is a plunger. The plunger goes up through that port right there. And how you're supposed to take this thing out is basically take the optics plate off or the cover off, and then press it down through that way, right? Or take the optics plate off and, push it around basically like this so that you can get the extractor out if you want to do it that way. What Calculated Kinetics has done is they've decided that they're going to mill a channel into this plate that can have a spring go in there. And the idea is, with this on, you no longer have to remove this optics plate to change your extractor out. So if you've got a broken extractor or something like that, you don't have to potentially lose your zero by removing the optic and the optics plate. You can just do it without doing that.
And so there you go. So what we include is that little spring. So it would be sitting essentially right here. All you got to do is drop that spring into that pocket.
Well, I went back and checked the listing, and it must be an older listing because it says includes all hardware, gives pictures of all the hardware that was supposed to be included, and there is no spring in there. So I don't know when that listing was made or what was going on with it, but this item did not come with a spring, and I checked to make sure that it wasn't in the listing. Does not have a spring. So anyway, I reach out to Calculated Kinetics, talk to the head guy there at Calculated Kinetics, and I'm like, hey man, just wanted to let you guys know, professional courtesy, I'm having this ongoing issue with Walther, and just want to know that you guys, your name's going to come up. I don't believe that this is your guys' fault. And it turns out that they actually forwarded me a new set of hardware with a spring in it. And basically the difference is, like, my package was missing some stuff, and we're just going to chalk that up to Amazon sucks, even though they're fast, sometimes they screw stuff up, and blame the mega corporation, right? So because of the nature of what I do, I probably keep things a little bit longer than I should. This is the original packaging of the Calculated Kinetics plate that is right here on this firearm. And I don't have the original shipping container because it was an Amazon, padded whatever. But this is what was in there. And there's just a baggie for the Loctite that I think it was probably that one. Since it's still on the table, but it might not be. I'm not sure. I have a ton of those things. A lot of manufacturers use those, but as you can see, there's nothing else in here. Well, they did forward me some replacements, and so I want to show you what it's supposed to look like. So there's this, and then they also sent this as a as an add-on. So let me explain. We'll come back to this here in a second. This is the way that it's currently being done, or the way that it was being done when this was purchased. There's a warning, install the damn spring, right? So that's new. And then there's a black baggie here. And in this black baggie is where we unroll and we get, yeah, so I would say that, you know, that tube that was on the table, it's probably that one, right? So in that black, and then on top of it, we've got the hardware, like before, and then there's a red baggie here with some screws in it, and then this card with a spring in it with a QR code. Probably watch this darn thing. So what I'm told though is that this is the way it's going to come from here on out, which is, hey, don't miss this thing. Like they made it big. My suggestion to them actually is that they take all of this stuff, all of it, and they put it all in there. So the plate can be separate, but the screws that come with it. And I would say, I don't think mine came with screws either, because I used the ones from the Gideon box. Although this is a spare judge, this isn't the actual optics box or anything, because we're talking about the Valor Mini, but I've got a bunch of these. So I just, to prove my point, Gideon sends all the screws. So I usually just go to them when I'm looking for replacement screws. So very squared away, folks, and I very much appreciate them forwarding that on so that we can get this back together when I get the parts, because it turns out, talk to Walther, and they basically say, hey, contact our customer service department or send your slide in and we'll get it fixed for you. So I call the folks, because I'm like, I can put the parts in myself. I'm not going to send the slide to you and you send it back. Like, I'm just not going to do that. And it's a good thing I didn't, because I'm talking to the customer service rep. First of all, they're going to charge me to get the new parts, which, whatever, that's fine. I don't really care. We're talking about like $40 worth of parts. Okay. Except for they don't have 2 of those components, or actually 3 if you consider the safety mechanism 2 parts. They do not have the plunger, and they do not have the block and its associated spring. And so my question to the guy is, okay, when are you going to have them? And he's like, I don't know. They come from Germany. I'm like, so you're going to put me on a list and you're going to send me a message when that stuff's good to go, or you're going to, you know, I'm going to submit a back order? And he's like, well, you can't back order it. We don't offer that. And we're not going to message you or notify you in any way that it's ready. You basically have to sit there and refresh the screen, right? And I'm like, it's 2025. It's almost 2026. What do you mean you can't let somebody know that you have a particular part in stock? And I did a little bit more digging online. This is everywhere. This is a common problem. There are none of these, because this is such a prevalent problem. And I have a hard time believing that it's all calculated kinetics plates. Again, speaking with them, it seems like they do a fair number of them, but not nearly enough to completely deplete the supply of these. And here's the thing about all of that. The PDP is a couple years old. It's not a new gun, but it's a new-ish gun. So I could see maybe not having optics plates and not having the plungers and the safety mechanism and all that sort of stuff. I could buy that if this gun was 6 months old, all right, but it's a couple years old, and those parts have joint compatibility with the PPQ, which is a gun that is considerably older than that. So you're telling me that you don't have part support for the PPQ or the new PDP. What the heck, Walter? Like, what the heck? I mean, we're not talking about hard parts to make either. Like, if you look at them, you can make them on a lathe.
But I hear you say, oh, Kurt, but tariffs, man. And I say bullshit to you on that. Two things there. First of all, most companies that had their head screwed on straight in 2024 there's a fly in here, imported millions of dollars of their product in preparation for the possibility of tariffs. So they would be able to provide support for their product lines if they were impacted for a couple years before it got straightened out. If Walther didn't do that, then what the heck are you doing, man? Second thing, I showed you guys the screenshots of the previous post. This has been a problem that's been going on for a while now. So it's not tariffs. I guess from a customer service standpoint, what I would say is I don't expect special treatment. In fact, I prefer not to get it for reporting purposes, but I always announce myself so the person on the other end at least has the courtesy of understanding that they're talking to somebody who might be reporting on something, and they should at least at a minimum follow procedure, right? So I guess what I would say from a customer service standpoint is the idea that we're going to immediately deflect blame, tell people to go read a super thick manual that nobody is going to read, and then again shift blame around so that we can clutch our pearls on the limited supply of replacement parts that we do have because we made a decision internally to shift all of that supply to the law enforcement support market. This is a priority problem 0 for Walther. They do not take this seriously. So in closing today, again, I don't expect special treatment, but having announced myself, if they're going to act this way toward me, then ponder this: how is your customer service experience going to be? I guess what I would say is this problem seems to predate the creation of the calculated kinetics plate, but I can't rule out that it isn't exacerbated by this. And it looks like calculated kinetics is tightening up their house to make sure that they aren't a root cause of this in the future. Walther should be doing the same. I see nothing about this from Walther until I was talking on the second round of customer service with Walther. Frankly, for the cost of the PDP Pro, a polymer frame striker-fired handgun, Walther should be including an entire rebuild kit for that slide. They know that people are going to be disassembling that thing to put an optics plate on there, and if they end up having to go to an after factory manufacturer because they can't get their shit together and have their optics plates in supply, and it takes 6 weeks for them to show up, it's 2026. This is not meeting the standard, and I would like to know what you guys think about that in the comments section down below. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I off base? Am I on point over target? Thanks for watching. And if you're going to buy a PDP Pro, then pay attention to what you're doing. And now you know better.